Hello, welcome to Conquering Stress, Fatigue, and Disease. I'm Dr. Todd Osborne. The purpose of this class is to really talk about the difference in two groups of people. There's one group that are in their 60s or 70s, or maybe even their 80s, and they're very healthy, they're very vibrant. You see them walking on the beach and playing golf and tennis and just really enjoying their life. They're the group of people that we see and say, wow, when I am their age, I hope I'm just like them. I hope I feel that good. The other group, which may be the same age or possibly even younger, are unhealthy. They're always fatigued. They're always sick. There's always something wrong with them, and they just aren't able to live life the way they would truly want to. The difference in these two groups is the first group has made a series of quality decisions about their health, and at some point they received quality information along the line in order to help them make those decisions. And what we're here to do today is to give you quality information so that you can make quality decisions about your health moving forward. Now, we live in the era with the greatest medical technology, the most healthcare resources, the most doctors in the history of the world. We have more hospitals, we have more schools, we have more doctors, yet as a society, we are experiencing poorer and poorer health as a group every single year. And we are living less vibrant lives than the previous generations, even though we supposedly have the greatest medical care in the world. Well, the question is why, with all those resources and advancements in technology? Well, it really comes down to our approach has been completely wrong. Our approach to health has always been aimed at feeling better or eliminating symptoms. And the reality is that we have to strengthen the function and healing capabilities of our body, not just try to eliminate symptoms or to judge health by the way we feel. So we need to look at health completely differently. It's not really about how we feel or the lack of symptoms, but rather health is how our body is functioning. It's like a car. It's made up of many small parts, and as long as each one of those small parts is functioning correctly, individually, and as a unit, then that car is able to function at 100%. It's able to be driven most efficiently, and that car will last for a long time as long as each of the parts are functioning like they should. Now, the word health comes from the root word heal. And we have an inborn wisdom in our body, an innate intelligence, if you will. Our body is very wise. We have that inborn wisdom that conducts every system in our body to do what it's supposed to do. And actually, when we're functioning at our best is when we also feel our best. Now, the body is either functioning at 100% wisdom or at 0%. It is either completely on or completely off, like a light switch. It's either on or off. There's no in between. Now, we can't make our inborn intelligence or the wisdom of the body any wiser, but we can improve the structure and therefore the physical function. So the new way of looking at this is the purpose of healthcare should be to maintain function and to allow our body's inborn wisdom to do exactly what it was created to do its job. It would be like you going to a Billy Joel concert and you've got front row tickets, and Billy Joel comes out and he begins to play his signature piece, The Piano Man. But he's playing on the piano that you see in front of you. The keys are kind of stuck together and not lined up like they should be, and one of the pedals is missing, and the piano wasn't tuned at all. Now, Billy Joel, we know as a artist, is played this tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 times. He's playing it perfectly. But on this piano, what does the music sound like? The musician is only as good as the structural configuration of the instrument. And similarly, in the body, the healing wisdom would be like Billy Joel. It's 100% going to play it right, but it can only work as well as the structural integrity of the body. The better the function, the better the wisdom of the body can conduct itself, and the body can heal itself like it was intended to. Now, what are some of the things that affect the function or affect the physical body? Well, two areas that we're going to talk about today are toxicity and stress. We live in an extremely toxic environment, and that is really come from the industrial age and our modern production systems, our modern agriculture that we have. And these toxins that we're faced with actually contribute to disease. And you know, we have young girls now at the age of 2 that are starting to menstruate, grow hair under their arms, very, very abnormal. In fact, the #1 cause of death in children is now cancer, which actually overrules adults. Cancer is #2 in adults. And before World War II, for a child to die of cancer was an extreme medical oddity. But the symptoms of toxicity of chemicals classically match the same symptoms of chronic disease. So toxins are playing a role in your and my health. There are both external toxins and internal toxins. And where are we getting all these external toxins? Well, where are they coming from? What is the source? And again, there's chemicals in the air, there's chemicals in our foods. So we're breathing, we're eating, we may be actually putting these toxins into our bodies ourselves through some food that may have toxins involved with them, maybe through medications that we have injected or that we're taking orally. And so most of the internal toxins in our body are actually coming in from the external sources. So where's this come from? What's the exposure? Well, it's a byproduct of our modern industry and agriculture. Like I said, our foods, pesticides, mercury, fluoridation and chlorine in our water, dry cleaning chemicals, formaldehyde, mercury, lead, radiation. All these things we are exposed to in our environment each and every single day. It's amazing, but the average child today is born with 280 toxins in their bodies. And they found that out by doing a blood analysis of the blood in the umbilical cord of newborns all over the world. But they've narrowed it down to approximately 80,000 commercial toxins, about 8,000 in daily distribution, and we're actually putting out 2,000 new toxins every single year. Many conditions have a toxin that is either contributing, associated with, or possibly the primary cause of, from headaches to chronic fatigue, depression, obesity, musculoskeletal pain and problems, sleep conditions, asthma, skin conditions. So as you can see, toxicity can really contribute to many of the things that our society deals with and suffers with. Once toxins are in the body, they become involved in the internal chemistry of our body, and they actually become part of the cells, which produces cellular toxicity. And cellular toxicities and cellular insufficiencies are two pillars supporting the temple of disease. In other words, once our cells have these toxins in there, it essentially creates a breeding ground for diseases, leading to a lot of chronic conditions that we suffer with. Now, today is not a nutrition lecture, but we all know about mitosis and how cells reproduce, and our body is constantly replacing cells and healing itself and utilizing mitosis, the split and divide and split and divide. And so we're replacing new parts in our body every single minute, every single day. In a matter of weeks to months, all cells will die off and be replaced in an organ. And so fuel for our body is actually used not only for energy, but to create cells and tissues and hormones. And the body regenerates itself on a regular basis. And so what are you rebuilding your body with? What kind of fuel are you putting in there? So choices you're making today will affect the quality of your life. Now, there's no doubt toxins are stressful to our systems, but let's also talk about physical stress. The definition is the sum of biological reactions to any adverse stimulus, physical, mental, or emotional, internal or external, that tends to disturb the organism's homeostasis. Should these compensating reactions be inadequate or inappropriate, they may lead to disorders. So, stress comes on our body, there is a reaction. There's something that happens, and it disturbs our balance, if you will, our homeostasis. And our body is designed to handle this. But should those reactions or the body's reaction to these stresses be inadequate or inappropriate, then it can end up leading to health problems. And health, like we said, is more about function. And if we function correctly, then we're able to handle these stresses as they come in. But if not, if for some reason we're not functioning like we should, then we can become overwhelmed and overrun with these stresses or these reactions to these stresses, and it can actually be bad for us long term, leading to chronic health conditions. It's been found that the typical adult nowadays experiences more physical, chemical, and emotional stress in a 30-day period than our grandparents did in an entire lifetime. Now, we talked about the increase in toxins in our environment of today, but also we have an increase of stress. The world runs at a faster pace. It's constantly changing. And these days, adults, unlike our grandparents who might go to work and work one job for their entire career until they retired, we tend to change jobs, we tend to move, we tend to not just move down the street, but maybe move to different geographic locations. And just the speed at what we live life creates a lot of stress on the human body. Now, no one is surprised to hear that stress can cause problems. I think that's pretty well accepted. But why does it cause problems? Well, it's the way our body responds to stress. You see this bear here, and let's say you're on a camping trip, and all of a sudden a bear comes into your tent, and you are either going to fight or run. In either case, your body is producing chemicals and hormones to assist you in doing that. The adrenaline pops up, right? Let's hope we're not going to try to fight the bear. We're going to run. And so your body is going to ramp up the adrenaline so that you can run faster than you normally would. That's the body's response. It's called the fight or flight response. And it's very normal, and the body is designed to do exactly that. But once these chemicals and hormones are produced, they have to take action. In other words, they need to be used up. And so in the case with the bear, and we run, or let's say we fight, but we use those chemicals up. We burn them, if you will, and we utilize them. But the problem is we have a lot of these stress reactions in today's day and age. Let's say you're driving in traffic and someone cuts you off, and you get that stress response. Your body is producing those hormones or those chemicals, but we don't use them up. Or just a super stressful day at work, and so we're producing these stress hormones and the chemical reactions in our body, but we're not using them up. And if they're not used up, they actually can damage the body, the very thing that they were created to protect. Take cortisol, for instance. It is the stress hormone, and it's secreted by a little gland on the kidneys called your adrenal gland. And this is an extremely important hormone when it's secreted in excess, because it can cause more health problems than you can count. It's released with stress, and when it's not used up, it contributes to a variety of health conditions. And actually, it can block thyroid hormone. And by blocking thyroid hormone, it can lower your metabolism, it can cause tiredness or fatigue, and actually can create blood sugar balance problems. And it'll break down your muscle tissue to make sugar. And when you have less muscle, less metabolism, it ends up leading to weight gain. And so this may be a reason that you're tired or overweight. It can even create imbalance in sex hormones, and it can put us on the moody cycle, if you will, where we're up and down and up and down, and we just have that moodiness. But all this contributes to an imbalance, fatigue, disease, and a loss of vitality in the human body. Now, neurological stress is one that is often overlooked. It's very important, as I mentioned earlier, for our body to function correctly. And this neurological stress or spinal stress can hinder the function, because the neurological system in our body controls every other part of the body through the spine, through neurological impulses from the brain through the spinal cord. It's going to tell the rest of the body how to run. That innate, that inborn wisdom in our body helps the body function, or tells the body exactly how to function. It sends and receives nerve signals, and the brain and the spinal cord are protected by the hardest bones in the body. That's how important they are, the skull and the spinal column. Now, the skull, we know, is a solid bone. The spinal column, however, is made up of 24 movable bones, and it's exactly the reason it's not a solid bone is so we can have movement, so we can operate and play golf and bend and twist and do the things that are required in normal life. But because it's movable, those bones are susceptible to certain stresses and forces, and they can lose their proper position. If and when they lose their proper position, then they can actually interfere with the nervous system instead of protecting the nerve tissue like it's designed to do. And that's what we call a subluxation. There's a misalignment, a small misalignment of the bone, and it causes nerve interference, and that reduces the control of the nervous system over the function of the body, and thus the body's ability to function correctly and to self-heal the way it was designed to do. Now, spinal stress or subluxation can have multiple impacts on the body. We can develop pain in muscles and joints, and because of the abnormal pressure on joints, this can lead to degeneration or degenerative joint disease, or what some would call arthritis. And then, of course, by interfering with the nerve, that leads to poor healing. It affects our physiology. In fact, it'll even lower our resistance or affect our immune system. And essentially, we start to lose function and have impairments due to the structural stress on the spine. So essentially, it's allowing you to be more susceptible to these outside stresses and toxins. And when we're more susceptible to that, that's certainly going to decrease the function of our bodies. It allows you to be more susceptible to that 24/7 stress that we're dealing with in today's day and age. Now, the purpose of chiropractic is to detect subluxations and correct those subluxations. Chiropractic restores the spinal structure, and by restoring the spinal structure, then that restores the nerve signals from the brain through the spinal cord out to the body, and those signals coming back from the body up the spinal cord to the brain. And that's what's controlling the entire function of the body. So as those nerve signals return to normal, then the body is allowed to function the way it's supposed to. In other words, that wisdom, that innate intelligence is able to get the messages where it needs to in the proper way so that our bodies can function at 100% of their capabilities. Now, many may think chiropractic's for neck pain and back pain, and that, chiropractic will help me feel better. But in reality, while those things do happen, that's not the purpose of chiropractic. The purpose of chiropractic is to restore, improve, and maintain proper function so the innate wisdom of the body can heal and maintain homeostasis, or the balance of the body. So, what do you do with this information? Well, first of all, with toxins, you really just need to be aware. There's no way to completely eliminate these toxins, but you can make decisions that can improve your function. And so in our decisions of the air that we breathe, our food, our water, we just try to limit as much of the toxicity as we can. So make better food choices, make better water choices, do the things that can eliminate or at least decrease the amount of toxicity that you're taking in your system. As far as the stress of our days, we really just need to slow down. And while I know society is not going to stop for any of us, we do need to take that time, that downtime, to let our bodies recoup, if you will, to meditate, to rest, to sleep, to have that inner peace, if you will, so that our bodies can regenerate and recharge rather than staying at that high level of stress all the time. And then get an evaluation of your nervous system. And you might say, well, I would know if I had a pinched nerve, but that's not really the case. Subluxations many times are not evidenced by any type of pain or symptom. It would be similar to a tooth having a cavity in it. A cavity is in the tooth for some time prior to you getting a toothache or that cavity getting cleared down to where it's affecting the nerve. So even though the tooth was unhealthy for a very long time, you didn't have a symptom. And it's similar in the spine. you need to be evaluated because many times there might be a subluxation present that you may not have a symptom from or be feeling any pain from, but it's there. And the only way to do that is to get evaluated, and only a chiropractor is highly trained to do this type of careful analysis of your spine to determine if you do indeed have subluxations that might be affecting your function and your health. Thank you for joining us today. As I said, I am Dr. Osborne with Scenic City Clinic of Chiropractic, and if we can help you in your health in any way, please do not hesitate to call us.